One more for the road, ladies and gentlemen. And I think we saved the best for last this year when it comes to our final interview, when it comes to British Pro Wrestling. And our owner here of a company that over the past 2 years we have covered time and time again and has always become our favorite company after all the great shows that they've put on and they're about to put on, maybe yet, their best show to date. It's called Mercy's Mighty Fight, and it's for a really, really good cause. But on top of that, there's going to be some matches that I would only think about in my dreams. In fact, even champions in different promotions that we're going to talk about, plus even champions versus another champion, and plus a main event that's going to even be an Iron Man match or two. Our guest has been here many times on Sportswire Radio, but since it's been the last few months or so since he's been on, he has to get that introduction that everybody else always gets here. Well, it's also because he's the boss. He's the owner of Cutlery Championship Wrestling. He needs no further introduction, as I stated, and the locker room is going to be watching this anthem, so he has to get that introduction. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one, global sports show, the CEO and founder of Cutlery Championship Wrestling. His name is James Barrass. Mr. Barrass, Merry Christmas, Happy Boxing Day, and how are you there, my friend?
I'm feeling very top tier because you saved the best to last, Reverend.
Well, listen, you definitely are top tier. You have definitely always been top tier over the years on Sportswire Radio, despite what is ever said out there. But that's here nor there. Obviously, we have a lot to talk about here over the next hour or so, but I want to actually start off the bat here and talking about our last show of the year. You know, I feel like every time I'm on here with you or anybody else in the locker room, oh, it's the best match of the year, it's the best to date, the most important. But actually, this one is really important. It's called Mercy's Mighty Fight. The doors are going to open at 7 o'clock British Standard Time. So for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, talk about this show because it's a really important one. I think it's going to hit the hearts of many that are listening here on Sportswire Radio.
So, Cutlery Christmas Carol 3 was meant to be CCW's final show of 2023. Then some sad news was read on, I believe it was Facebook, and it hit home. Obviously, I might be top tier. People might hate me, but I still have a heart. I still have a heart.
Last time you were on the show in October,
yes.
You always say that.
I still have a heart, whether it's cold or whatever you want to call it. And I read that this little girl has a brain tumor, and they are wanting to raise around about £50,000.
Like 100,000. I heard the other day.
Yes.
On Ronnie's show.
So what the latest was, obviously it's incurable, it's inoperable, but the money is getting raised to go towards medical treatment and things like that. And I thought in my head straight away is, I have to do something about this as well and get involved somehow and see what we can do, because at the end of the day, what I've always said is we have tools, we have equipment, we have things that we could do that could help raise money or raise awareness or anything like that. So obviously reached out, spoke to Mercy's mum. She was over the moon, and she's been in touch ever since, and we've had a lot of support with like donations and things, and also with talent. from up and down the country that want to be involved with this.
Yeah, and it's a great show tomorrow, Bob. I mean, you got like wrestlers from all over the place, Scotland, and certainly top names in the UK. I mean, outside of CCW, I mean, this is like what people would say a throwaway show. Far from it. That's why I
Yeah.
said to me, this might be the best show of the year.
Yeah, and like I say, what we've done is we know Christmas is just been a few days ago. We know people are skint. We know people are struggling. We get that. We understand. That's why what we've done is on the doors, just make a donation on the door. We've got a raffle as well, and obviously my children have donated. I've had my children donating £20 of their Christmas money, £18, £10 and stuff like that. And you know how hard it is being a child, and you want your toys and you want to spend your money on toys. And
I have two nieces, and I just gave them would be the equivalent of like over 300 pounds, or over 300 pounds. So could you imagine them and what they would want to give like 10% of that away? Forget about it,
Yes, exactly. So I'm very proud of them, to be honest, and they've definitely raised the top tier level. They need a, they're down there. They'll get up to my level at one point, but no, it's very nice to see everyone still rallying together, especially at this time of year. And people are just going, we're blowing out with steam. We haven't got nothing left, but they've kept something in the tank ready for tomorrow. So it's good.
No question about that. We're going to actually plug all the CCW links in a second because I have a banner for it. But I'm on a radio station Wednesday nights, and we're actually plugging something to help out those that have been impacted in what's going on in Israel. So this is really important. I always want to say this. I don't think I've said this to you. We're going to get a lot into the matches. We'll certainly see Mr. Barrass come out in a second. But I've always felt like, I know it stands for Colory Championship Wrestling, but in my opinion, as the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportzwire Radio, the #1 global radio station, your voice of all wrestling, the Reverend Tom Bryce, I've always felt that CCW to me stands for Colory Community Wrestling. The reason I say that is because as long as I've known you a long time now. I've known you for 2 years. You've been on Sportswire. I don't know. I lost count at this point. You've always been there for the community. Every few months, I see different things. CCW's out there in events, whether it's you and Walker, whether it's you and, Dagan, whether it's you and obviously everybody else that's out there, a part of the roster. Jam Dog as well. Big shout out to Jam Dog. But I mean, you guys have always been out there about the community first. And I think that to me, that's why you guys have always had this devoted following. And that's why I would really refer to you guys more as Colory Community Wrestling, because I don't know of any wrestling company, as a matter of fact. And I have a lot of people come on, a lot of different companies. You want to say the underground, the backyard, the pro, the independent, you name it at this point. The CCW has always been above and beyond all the different companies I've seen that does so much for the community.
Because CCW is community based and built from
Colory Community Wrestling. Agree with me on this, Colory Community Wrestling.
Yeah, you're onto something there. Is that the new branding of 2024?
Well, so WWF, they went from the WWE after World Wildlife Fund sued them. So maybe after, everybody's coming after you these days. We go to Colory Community Wrestling.
Yes. Yeah. There's definitely something there, 100%. But yeah, that's what we've tried to do. We've tried to make it about the community and not just only about the wrestling, but about bringing them in, making them feel a part of everything that goes on, the characters, the journey, their lives, the stories they're telling. And even with obviously the different brands of CCW is trying to find a market to meet everyone's needs, where if you like the blood, the gore, the barbed wire, you've got your Carnage, and then obviously Taylor starting up with the Coming Out Championship Wrestling for the Pride.
Taylor on here in the past. Absolutely love Taylor.
So what we've tried to do is just make these separate brands of a CCW and try to reach out to the community of what might benefit them and to get them out as a community. Because to be honest, communities around here are dying. They took the coal mines away and they took everything away, and everything just died, collapsed, and they knocked these down, that down, and everything gets stripped away. There's your local pubs and your clubs get shut down, and
we went through a worldwide pandemic. We're dealing with inflation throughout the world. I mean, it's an epidemic for everybody. I'm here in New York, and I could tell you that a lot of people where I'm here back home, it's a lot of people left, and I could certainly sympathize with those things. And obviously, I want people to follow Coloring Championship Wrestling if you're here for the first time, because we love CCW on Sportswire. CCW has always been very, very much one of my all-time favorite things to cover. You can hear a number of different platforms on Instagram at Coloring Championship_Wrestling. YouTube, and the YouTube page is really coming up there. Big shout out to Daniel Baldwin. Big shout out to Daniel. CCW UK Northeast, and on Facebook, we have a number of groups: Coloring Championship Wrestling, also Carnage Championship Wrestling, obviously Ronnie Thatcher, and Coming Out Wrestling with Taylor. So please support CCW. CCW, to me, again, I'll continue to say it, it's always Coloring community wrestling. And people ask me all the time, well, how have you survived doing this for 5 years? Well, it's always because my community supported me when I was starting out, and CCW is here because of their community. I have a lot of comments. I want to get to people because I have a lot to talk about with you in a short amount of time. Let's say hello here to a number of people. Obviously, Mr. Baldwin himself says looking forward to this. And I think we got to get Mr. Baldwin onto Sportswire in 2024. One of my many New Year's resolutions. I want to say hello here to this person. I stopped watching Peacemaker to be here. Looking forward to whatever shenanigans occur. The last time you came on here, there were shenanigans. I promise you that there will be. I want to say hello to the upcoming 7th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, who's just part of his own company's first ever very successful live indoor show. That is Omen Black. He's the boogeyman of the Midwest. He's the IMF Hardcore Champion. He's going to be here 10 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday, which should be 3 a.m. UK time on Sunday, right before 2024. He says, don't worry, people, I'm back on my show. How you doing, Omen? Maybe, Omen, you'll one day step foot in CCW. Stay tuned for that. Want to say hello to our buddy, Mr. Jay Vidal. Also here, nice shirt, Mr. Barrass. You damn straight, that's a nice shirt. Rico Justice, a man who's had his own issues. We obviously saw that with him and Hybrid mixing up. I'll definitely get with Hybrid in a few minutes. Well, if it isn't Mr. Bobblehead himself, I do still hear those chants ring in my head of Bobblehead Barrass. But obviously, Mr. Baldwin says, Rico, that man pays your checks. Respect him. Very well said. Going to definitely get to Hybrid, as I pointed out. Want to say hello to this, the man, the myth, the legend himself, meaning you. He isn't quite heartless. I want to say hello to one of our all-time favorites on Sportswire. I know you have an up and down relationship with him, Mr. Tribal Cheese himself. Tomorrow's show is yet another step in the right direction for CCW. Amen to that. Amen. And that's why CCW is where the big boys play. That's why CCW is the place to be. And that's why CCW is the place you want to follow on a number of platforms. I've got 30 pounds for poor little Mercy. She needs everything she can. She deserves all the types of love. Amen to all that as well. Also, want to say hello to these 12. I don't know if I'm a legend, but Mr. Barrass, I got something for you for an announcement toward the end of the show that maybe might acknowledge you all time. So stay tuned for that. I'll give him credit for what he does for people in need. Dare I say more? I have some great memorabilia and great donations for tomorrow's show. And you can follow Mr. Logan himself on his YouTube page. Get over 1,000 subs. He's got a who's who of paraphernalia, a who's who of autographs. So make sure you give out all your pounds, all your Christmas money, all your potential New Year's late gifts, whatever it might be. Just hand it over to the Big Cheese because, well, he is the Big Cheese. CCW community is some of the most loyal and dedicated wrestling communities I have ever known. 1,000%. I have been saying that till the cows come home, and there might be some cows still out there in Colory out there in the UK, right? And I'm going to get to him in a second because he's the first person I want to mention because this is a big deal. You're going to have him on here. Of course, our Pro 2 Interpromotional Champion, Mr. Davey Blaze. And how's Ross been, Davey? We'll get to that in a second. Davey Blaze, we're going to talk about that in a second. So, let's go right to it. Obviously, Davey Blaze and CCW. I had Davey Blaze on here. I want to say, I think right before you came last on the show in October. And having Davey Blaze, you're getting Davey Blaze off a time where, I think you're getting him maybe at the hottest of his career because he just came off where we saw him across the ring from some guy you might have heard of named James Storm, legend
Yes.
TNA, WWE, and all.
I've just been looking at the photos before I came on live with you. What's been posted. I've just been having a quick check on it, yeah.
Yeah, so, you got Davey Blaze literally right after this guy he wrestled called James Storm, and you're going to see him defend his Pro 2 Interpromotional World Championship against Persona, who looked extremely impressive against
Mm.
Devlin, another man from Scotland.
Yeah.
You got to talk about this match because this is a dream match, and we're getting Davey Blaze and CCW after going across the ring against James Storm. Mr. Barrass, you pulled one out of the rabbit here and some.
Well, I've got to give credit there to Davey Blaze for accepting the invitation to come down to
Unlike
CCW.
some, right? Unlike some, I hear.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, thank you for coming through the forbidden door. Yes,
Amen.
he is a very talented persona. He has beaten the likes of Martin Kirby.
Yep.
He has beaten the likes of
He was
Storm.
he was very impressive against Devlin at the
Devlin, yes. So this match is going to be something you do not want to turn away and even go to the bar. You need to keep your eyes focused on this match because these two guys are going to tear it down. But what is scary if I was Persona is he's up against the Savage. There's no doubt about that.
I've had him on here. Listen, not even seeing him in the ring. I've had Davey Blaze on here, and I almost thought like he was gonna rip the screen out and come across me and just like choke me by the neck and just who knows what else he would do. I mean, he's Davey Blaze. I mean, that's not that for a reason.
Exactly. So, like I say, we've seen both sides. We've seen the nice Davey Blaze when he wants to be, the fun, the joke, but then there's
he's
the
like Clark
Savage.
Kent almost. He just all of a sudden one day he's mild mannered. He's on there cooking on Facebook, and the next minute he like rips you across the apron. I mean, I don't know how Persona prepares for this. It's almost like size versus strength in this match. The classic size versus strength. No,
I always grew up though. Where I grew up, they always say it's the quiet ones you have to watch out for. And Persona is very, very quiet. He's a man that crafts his art silently, and he doesn't go and boasting about himself or having a big ego about himself. Obviously, he's with the Lyric Legion and Pillix anyway. I'm not really fond of them anyway. So, but I do have to give him credit. He has been in with the big guys. He's been in with the talented top guys, and he's beaten the top guys as well. So,
when you said Martin Kirby, now Martin Kirby, for
yes,
those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, Martin Kirby wrestled, I believe it was 180 matches this year. And get this, Martin Kirby, I believe, I'm almost certain of this because I actually know somebody on the PWI 500, our friend Vito Fratelli. Martin Kirby actually wrestled more matches than every single person in the WWE. Just saying.
Fun facts.
Well, that's what you get here on Sportswire Radio. That's why I'm the #1 global radio station. But that's the point here about having Persona against Davey Blaze, and that maybe that's something that he can count on his resume, that I've beat a guy that wrestled more matches than everybody in the entire WWE. I mean, that's a big deal there.
But there you go. If Persona does take the Pro 2 interpromotional title, then he represents a company up in Scotland, a promotion up in Scotland. So the big boots to fill. If he does take that title away from, the Savage, the Scottish Savage.
Well, he's going to have to really pry it out of Davey Blaze's hands and get him down 1, 2, 3. And, Davey's been in there with living legends and has got wins in his own right. And I think he's in the best shape of his career. Because when I had him on here 4 months ago, he basically said he's in the best shape of his life, and he feels like now he's ready for the next phase of his career. And he's going to look to end 2023 with a bang and have more momentum in 2024 and take on and probably beat more wrestling Hall of Famers and legends.
Yeah, no doubt he will. Well,
we're going to certainly find out here, and let me get to some more comments. And obviously, we're going to break it here that I'll have Davey Blaze back on in 2024, so stay tuned for all that here. Mr. Logan wants to say Davey Blaze, legit legend in the house. I'll be marking as him. And the funny thing about Davey Blaze is he's still in the prime of his career. People think about this. Davey Blaze has accomplished, right? He's been in the sport for over a decade. But Davey Blaze still has his best years ahead of him. That's a scary part. And I want to say hello, by the way, to one of our favorites here on Sportswire Radio. He is the third member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. A clue for you, sir, at the end of the show. He is one half of the XCW Tag Team Champions. He is my buddy from the state of Indiana. He is the first real wrestler. His name is Mr. Justin Parsley. He says, good afternoon from another part of America, Middle America. And he says, you look like a beast. very similar to his owner and his company, XCW, which is the gold standard of this sport of underground and semi-pro wrestling, kind of like you're the gold standard, I think, right now of British wrestling. That's Mr. Joshua Fletcher. You have a lot of similarities there with Mr. Fletcher, but Mr. Parsley says hello. But also a great comment, which I want to hit the nail on the head. This show is going to go down in the CCW history books. Not only that, but also echoes are going to be heard worldwide. Amen to that. Speaking of another match where you're going to have another championship defended, not from your promotion, Tom Fulton. Now, Tom Fulton's a guy I know very well from Alba Championship Wrestling. He's defending his title against Chris Falcon. Here's what's really cool about this, is that actually by him defending this title tomorrow night at Mercy's Mighty Fight, the Alba World Heavyweight Championship is now actually going to be recognized as an official world title. That's a pretty cool feat there. Let's talk about this match. Tom Alba's a guy I know very well. And what's that mean to you and the company? The fact that he's defending his title on your soil, and on top of that, it's going to be now an official world title.
It's very good to know that we've been on it to get to do these kind of things, and not just Pro 2, but another promotion up in Scotland, Alba. Obviously, the title is going to be on the line, and yet official world title. So that's big news for Alba. It's something big for us as well.
Absolutely.
To have that on our platform. But yeah. I believe this is going to be another great match. We saw Chris Falcon make his debut against Dark Duck at our last, I believe it was when we had the Easington Welfare. It was Welfare Warfare, and very impressive. He's young guy, and I do believe he was trained under the guy. What's his name? Assassin, Brian Bell.
Yes.
So, and very, very, very impressed with what we saw, and he's coming for gold. So, but Tom Fulton wrestled all over the world.
Tom Fulton's a very, very well-traveled man. He's a long-time veteran, and with that company, he's done a lot of CCW talent have been in Alba.
Yeah. So, like I say, you've got experience in youth. It can go either way, to be honest.
Well, that's why I am very, very excited about that match. And I want to plug myself here real quick, because if you're out here for the first time on Sportswire Radio, I'd hope you give us a sub on YouTube at Sportswire Radio 6579 backspace streams. We're closing in on 500 subscribers. Thank you so much, everybody that has supported me over the years. We also have a brand new website where if you have a podcast out there, you want to hear yourself, or maybe some music you want to play, or different things like that, we're at sportswireradio.org. And like how Mr. Barrass helps the community, I give people the opportunity to hear themselves free of charge, to be able to get their chances to play, whether it's a talk show, music, whatever it might be, fill in the blanks. You can let me know anything else you want at sportswireradio.org. We also have a brand new blog site at tumblr.com/Sportswire Radio. So I'll be writing about Mr. Barrass here in the coming hours. So stay tuned for more of that. But we're here with James Barrass, the owner of Cutlery Championship Wrestling, ahead of Mercy's Mighty Fight. Now, I got to bring up Jam Dog, because Jam Dog has been a favorite here on Sportswire. We've had him on here in the past, and he's wrestling Adrian Black. And there's obviously a lot of, maybe black and blue we're going to expect here, because Adrian Black is the light in the dark champion, and Jam Dog, of course, is our Carnage hardcore champion. But we saw Jam Dog at the last show in the main event, and he got stuffed in the dumpster by Prince Dagan with a few help from friends. And obviously Jam Dog's got some scores to settle here. And talk about this match, because this could be another match that could be a main event. I mean, almost any other show would be a main event, but I'm not quite sure it's a main event here. I'm going to get to it why. But talk about what we can expect here in Jam Dog and Adrian Black. Just another match that I really expect, a lot of black and blue.
We can definitely expect hard hitting. We can definitely expect violence. These both guys will go past the limit than other guys. These guys will have no boundaries. These guys will tear each other apart if they have to, and get the job done. Jam Dog has got nuts and bolts and everything loose in his head, and you never know what
I've had him on here. I've seen it firsthand. I have seen
yes, and Adrian Black, as dark as he is, and he's come from hell, and he's not scared as well. And they both have some sort of same mentality of they just want to destroy each other and get the job done and become victorious.
And again, a match here with a lot of scores to settle. I mean, I know that Mr. Dagan's going to be watching this match very closely now.
No doubt you will do. But he has his match. Well, he's going to have to
Oh,
be
I'm going to be getting to
prepared.
his match. I can promise you that. I'm going to definitely get to that match. But, I wanted to bring this up while we're kind of here in the middle of the show. And obviously, we'll definitely get to more comments in a second. But I have to bring up Mr. Carnage because obviously his passing just recently, the anniversary of it, or, whatever you want to call it at that. And obviously, I know how much over the years, knowing you and many in the locker room that have come on to Sportswire and talk about Mr. Carnage and talk about, I'm sure we'll have some type of salute to him tomorrow, and just talk about kind of how we reflect on him and in a lot of ways, how he's inspired us to be the company that we've been here at CCW.
Well, I think with Sean, with Mr. Carnage, it was recently his birthday memorial. I know it's going to be coming up to 2 year in February the 14th. But if anything, I'll take away from Sean and what he taught me was, what he would say is, F the others. You keep on focusing on what you need to do.
I always tell you that every time you
Yes.
speak to me. I always tell you, don't worry about everybody else. Don't worry about that outside chatter. Focus on what you've done in building the company. I remember 2 years ago when you were out there in the news, and you said, well, are you going to stick with CCW? And I said it on the air. I said, CCW will always have a home with me, no matter what. So don't worry about what the outside chatter says. Always focus on what you do best, and that's delivering the best shows each and every month.
So yeah, that's what I'll definitely take away. And he was loyal, very loyal at the beginning, and he was also putting an ultimatum. Like he said, I was put in on a fence, and I saw 2 gardens, but I chose your garden, jumped in your garden from the fence because you were there to help me. You were there to help me partner Elf. You were there to help raise money. You were there to just make me feel like part of the family. So he was also put in that, if you go there, all that kind of stuff and things. But he used to always say, I left in your garden and I'm staying loyal to you and CCW. So, give him credit. Obviously there was big things planned for the guy, and and he was doing great, but obviously unfortunately he lost his life, and but all we can do is just keep remembering him and keep his memory in our hearts and our thoughts and prayers, and keep reaching out to like his family, Steve, his dad Steve, and his mum Anne, and just keep sending them our love and thoughts and stuff like that. So
absolutely no question about that. And let me get to a few comments, and I want to actually say hello to some people. I agree 1,000%. This is the best person you should be listening to for different reasons. I've told you this time and time again not to listen to the haters. Super proud of you still going and getting another fundraiser for an amazing cause. And I feel like, listen, I've known you well. And that's why, to me, it's a colory community wrestling, because every few months we're always out there in the community. We're always doing different things. And that takes a lot of courage, and that takes a lot of gumption and heart, that what you do for this company. And I think a lot of people don't realize it. Again, I've spoken to a lot of different people over the years. It takes a lot with that. But I do have a interesting one here. Is Sam Taylor appearing, Mr. Barrass?
Well, are you coming to the show?
That's a rhetorical question. So Ed, definitely let us know on that. But I got to bring up somebody here, Mr. Barrass, that we've had him on several times on Sportswire Radio over the years, and he's going to be in a tag team match against the Thatcher brothers. And we obviously know the story about Ronnie's brother there and in jail, and it's going to be a really intriguing match. And he's teaming up with Devlin. But, Hybrid is a guy. I'm still trying to figure this out here, Mr. Barrass. He was the world champion here at one point. He was the guy that we were hoping to see in this dream match against the Tribal Cheese, and different things happened there. And I still am wondering, he was the world champion. He wasn't on the posters. He obviously spoke a lot about that. He certainly aired his grievances here with us. But in a way, I kind of think he did have points. At his time was champion, was kind of like in an interesting phase in CCW history. And now I'm seeing him here in a tag team match. Talk about this match, because part of me still says I want to see Hybrid back where he belongs in the main event world title picture. And, talk about that for the audience, because Hybrid has been one of our favorites here over the years.
I'm sure Hybrid will be focusing on what's ahead, get the job done. And I'm sure he'll climb back up the ladder eventually. He will do. He will eventually. He's young. He's determined. He's got
He's
the
got that
heart.
look
He's
to
got the
me, though,
fight.
that would draw us even more pounds. He's got that look. I was even watching him in that little, rumble they did there, and with Rico, the way he kicked Rico Justice and the way he moves in there. I've said it time and time again. I mean, I know different things happen, but I would hope in 2024 we see a lot more of Hybrid and CCW and continue on those things.
Well, maybe he needs to send in to the board some promo pics, and then they can get him
Okay.
onto the
Touche.
posters.
Fair play. Fair.
I don't make the posters. The
Well,
board and whoever
I
run
actually
all of that
just started
side.
learning to do that on Sportswire. I actually just started learning like the logo stuff and the banner work, and I know it's a challenge and stuff. It's actually
Yeah.
I could totally understand it. In fact, that's our new logo here. I actually just took that. Okay, that's why. Yep, there we go. There's the new logo that I just actually put up there for the first time. So obviously people could take a look at that for a few minutes and see
Oh,
if they want me to keep it up there. Yeah. It's something I designed. I figured for the rest, I probably should have put up earlier. Okay, so we'll obviously see, though, but still a really good match. Hybrid and Devlin and the Thatcher brothers, another hard-hitting match. I mean, is the ring going to stand afterwards? What these four guys do to each other, or what?
well, I'm hoping because it's a brand new ring, so I'm hoping it is.
Well, we're gonna.
There's money down the drain.
Well, that's another match that would be a main event in any other place. I mean, you got world champions galore in this match. You got guys that have been in other places. I mean,
Yeah.
this card top to bottom is stacked. I mean, I don't really know. Like, there's no clunkers on this card.
Devlin is very, very talented at what he does. Like, some people shouldn't write him off so easy. He he can he can he can go the distance. Like I thought, Persona was going to run rings around him, but
No, not at all. That was like a
no,
real even match. Not at all.
100%. And I'm sure Hybrid is definitely going to climb back up the ladder. The Thatcher brothers are going to tag for the very first
That's
time.
really intriguing. We saw a little bit on Ronnie's stream. Big shout out to Ronnie as always, but really intriguing story there with them.
Yeah. Well, Ronnie never told anyone he had a brother, and didn't say that he had a brother that's just come out of jail, and he kept that quiet. And obviously, I'm taking it. It's they have the same dad, not the same man, because one is from London and one is from Scotland. So the dad must have been a bit of a player and got about a little bit. So, but one is a bit like a loony or loop. Loony, whatever you call it, a loop, crackers or something, walks around trying to feed a pet lizard or whatever it is. The other one just wants to drink alcohol. So we'll see which one gives in first. Who needs to feed the dragon first, or who needs to feed the thirst first?
We'll flip a coin. We'll certainly flip a coin and see what happens there. Let me get to some more comments here. Also, Mr. Logan wants to say, on tonight's show is a popular one and a great show. Enjoying this very much. Yeah, I think this was the right time to have you back. I kind of felt like, in a way, we were missing something with CCW coverage. It's been a while, and I thought, obviously, it'd be a great time to have you. And Ed also wants to say, of course, I'm going to be there. Yes, you definitely better be there. If you haven't yet, I mean, there's got to be, the only tickets left have to be if you're going to be like having a ladder and going like looking from the windows. That might be the only way you get into the venue, but the doors open at 7:00. So what that means, if you have a ticket, get there an hour earlier, because I promise you it's going to fill real quickly. You're going to be able to get to your seat, get there early, get there an hour early, enjoy the show, get to see all the festivities. And also make sure you donate for the right cause, for Mercy. And obviously her story, so emotional, so impactful. And I want everybody to make sure we support CCW in those links below. And a brother in jail is not really something you advertise in public. Well, I mean, that's a conversation that I'll let the Thatcher brothers decide for. And also, I want to break it here. On January the 23rd, because I promised I'd give him a shout out, we're going to have a guy called Necro Daddy onto Sportswire. You probably heard this name before, and he's coming to Sportswire. Yeah, Mr. Logan knows who he is, but he's going to come on to Sportswire and share his story for the first time. I figure about 7:30 p.m. British Standard Time. So we'll have him on here, and we'll talk about some of the things on his mind and some. I want to get to another match. I realize I've only got maybe about 20 more minutes with you, and I want to get to as many things as I can possibly, but Nerds versus Spawn. We saw the Dagan and Spawn situation there. You obviously are nerds, we certainly know that history there, but is this almost like the next generation of CCW stars match? Almost kind of like the winner of this. It almost reminds me of like when you saw years ago, almost like the very early Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels matches. Almost, it was like, okay, it's the onset of like, 4 or 5 years later, they're going to be the whole new generation. They're going to be main eventing WrestleManias. I feel like in a lot of ways, in 2 years from now, this is a preview of maybe like the CCW World Underground Heavyweight Championship match as a preview. So talk to me about what we can expect here between Nerds and Spawn.
Well, what we can expect is my guy, Nerds, to end Spawn's early career. So what's going to happen is, Spawn is showing disrespect to his dad, to his own family, to his own blood, and yet someone needs to teach him a lesson. Now, Nerds, I believe, is the right guy. He's going to go in there, teach him a lesson, take him out. That's one less problem for the Paragons or the Apocalypse, and they can move on to bigger and better things and problems, because Spawn, he's just a nuisance, to be honest. He's just an immature little nuisance in CCW that thinks he's the good guy and, wants everyone to get behind him. But in reality, he's just a disrespectful little... I can't even say that last word either.
Let me ask you this question, and it's going to refer to what I talk about next in our World Underground Heavyweight Championship match. And Prince Dagan obviously has got a lot to focus on, but he's got 2 matches here when it comes to Adrian Black and then obviously his own son and Spawn. Do you think that maybe in a way he might be distracted or might be overly watching or analyzing these results? Because, it could be a bad night for him in a lot of ways. Obviously, there's a lot to lose on the line here, but, could he be impacted by, let's say, if the results don't go in the way he wants to see it when it comes to Spawn against your Nerds and obviously Adrian Black and Jam Dog? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not in Dagon's mind, but if I was to try and assume what he might be thinking, obviously he's rooting for Nerds, he's rooting for his brother to be victorious and get the win over Jam Dog and Spawn. But maybe will it knock him off his game a little bit if results don't go the right way, what they wanted to go? It could, because at the end of the day, if I was Dagon, I'd be infuriated. If
you've been in this spot before, though. Listen, when you with top tier, you've been in this spot before, so you know that he could certainly, obviously, if the night doesn't go in the way he sees it going into the main event, it has to impact him if it goes that way. Now, obviously, if Adrian and obviously, which I know you don't want, obviously Spawn win, yeah, that's not going to make a difference, and certainly he's going to have all the confidence in the world and all the momentum. But it's Dagan; he doesn't really need confidence. He's just Prince Dagan. But the point is that the other way it goes, it could hurt a little bit, I would think.
Yeah, because I know exactly what Spawn would do. Spawn would go straight to his so-called dad, that he would call him. That's what he's been calling him, and rubbing it into his face even more, which I believe will get the Dagon, and it will put him off his game against Johnny Flashback, because he's not just in there for 5-10 minutes. He is in there 30-minute Iron Man match against Johnny Flashback, and he needs to put every focus and concentration on that and not be put off by...
Well, that's a great segue, and I have comments, and I want to ask you a question right after that, and I realize I've only got so much time with you, but, let's talk about that, because it's interesting that you bring up the Iron Man match, and obviously Johnny Flashback. We saw the training monologue, almost the Rocky IV thing there. He's going out in the gym, and obviously it's all kidding aside. That match is going to be really intense, and there's a lot on the line. There's a lot, obviously, that's riding into the company. It's the final match of the year in 2023 going into 24. But, Dagan went through this really, really difficult match, the dumpster match that he had with Jam Dog. Jam Dog put him through the rigor. Obviously, he needed a lot of help, but he still won the match. But now, almost short notice, relatively speaking, for the champion. We're talking, what was it, not even 2 weeks ago, give or take, that the championship match took place. He's now going into a 30-minute Iron Man match with Johnny Flashback, who's got all right now and everything he's got in terms of the fan support. He's got the training. He's putting himself in basically where he can be in top position to go out there physically and mentally to win this match. Do you think that in a way maybe Dagan is actually in a disadvantage going into this just because of what he went through in that dumpster match with Damn Dog?
My personal opinion, no, because I do believe that Dagon is a fighting champion. He's trying to
I agree
prove
with you
that
on
he's
that.
a
I agree with you on, yeah.
fighting champion. Yeah, don't get me wrong, Johnny Flashback.
What a story there that is.
He beat JJ Nova. JJ Nova is CCW's heavyweight. He is, and it took a lot out of Johnny Flashback. JJ Nova's standing there like a brick wall, and he's bouncing off from left, right, and centre, and he can't get the big man down. He just manages to get him down, and gets the win. But it's like I'll always say, Dagon has proven time and time again why he is the champion, why he is going to be a fighting champion, and why he's going to be a fighting champion for a very, very long time, because he is the prince of the underworld, and people underestimate what that demon can do and bring as champion in CCW.
And I think that Prince Dagan has been maybe the most impressive champion to date in CCW. What he has done here as champion. We've had a number of the champions that have been in CCW in the past, and the run he's on right now, it is certainly going to be very difficult to dethrone him, but Johnny Flashback does have a lot of momentum. He does have the ability to kind of scout the champion, and he was not in the kind of match that certainly Mr. Dagan was in against Jam Dog, so we'll have to see what happens there. I have a number of comments. I want to get to everybody real quick. I want to say hello to my buddy Michael Blackheart, all the way also in Indiana. His father-in-law is the senior official in XCW, of course, our very, very beloved company. And he says here, hopes that your guest doesn't eat you alive. I hope you're not going to eat me alive, but that's not going to happen. It could possibly be the match of the night between Spawn and Nerds. I agree with you 100%. Absolute dog dangles. I have to ask you, and we'll move off that. I have to ask you, and what is going on with Walker Wall Street right now? I mean, I'm trying to figure this out here, but is Walker Wall Street okay? Or like, what's going on there real quick?
I have no idea. All I know, he was dressed like Santa Claus on a chair.
I was like, I watched that, and I'm like, I got to ask you this. Like, he's not the Walker Wall Street I know, and I had on here on Sportswire many times.
Well, he's been rescued, but where was the elite establishment? Where was Ronnie? Where was Reggie?
Colin,
where was Logan? Where was Colin?
Yep.
Where were all of them? So hopefully, because he's going to be doing an announcement tomorrow. That's if he can walk to the ring and get in the ring. He's going to make an announcement. Hopefully, he's going to turn around and give Colin an ultimatum on his position in the elite establishment, because quite frankly, if that was me and I didn't have my guys there to back me up or even care to come out to look for me, then quite frankly, I'd be in that position as well to go, you know what? Screw you lot. I'm on my own. But you know what it is? He's weak-minded. He's only young. So no doubt he'll stick with the elite establishment. And I'll just sit back and I'm going to be watching and observing.
Been the whole topic with Walker the entire year, this whole thing with the elite. I mean, that's been really since when I first had him, I think, on in January of this year. I mean, time flies, but I think that's been kind of the whole thing, this whole thing with the elite, and what is like Walker's year has been kind of a weird year in that sense. It's kind of been this like, can he trust them? Can he not trust them? I mean, where does he go from there? That's going to be a big question there. And obviously you say he's going to have this announcement. So the only way you're going to be able to find out is to actually go to the show itself tomorrow night, 7:00. The doors are open. And if you want to get more information on CCW, go to all the links here below and find out. We'll have to see. And if maybe Mr. Wall Street comes back to Sportswire Radio, if he shows up, as you say, with this announcement, we'll have to figure out more of it and some here. So let me see here. Also, Dagon will destroy Flashback. We'll have to see, Brian. And the Elite, nowhere. Yeah, I think that's been the question about the Elite with Walker. It's kind of been, I think I've asked him this question with the Elite. I've asked him before in the past. I've had him on a few times. And I would always say, well, are you sure you guys in the Elite are all right? And, obviously, Colin, those situations there. So, I mean, that's a question almost hanging over him like a dark cloud. But I have to ask you, into transitioning into the end of the show, is what's on the horizon for CCW in 2024?
I don't want to talk about that.
You don't want to talk about that?
No.
It's a sore subject.
We could talk about coming out championship wrestling.
January 6th, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
A little message to you, Taylor, is that this is technically, apart from the other one that you did, but this is your very first show. Yeah, I want you to succeed. I want you to become great at this. But you've got a long way to get up that ladder to where I am. All the best, Taylor.
Did I hear that you say to Mr. Truths that he's got a long way to go to move up the ladder toward where you are, sir? Is that what I heard from you, Mr. Barrass?
He's got a long way to go.
Is that a threat toward Mr. Truths?
Take it how you want, Taylor.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm sure that Mr. Truths will have his own answer in response to that. We'll have to find out more on that coming up. I have to ask you this question
But
here.
regarding to colliery shows,
yeah,
I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, so I got that. So I'm gonna move on here in a lighter note, and I wanted to ask you this question because I know I'm gonna have a lot of different American wrestlers that I've had actually watch and come on to Sportswire, and we saw one of them in Omen Black earlier on in the show comment. What advice would you give to any wrestlers that might want to come in overseas to CCW? Because I have a lot of these different up-and-coming wrestlers that come onto the show, and they're certainly moving up the ranks in different ways. We even have some different guys. The guy, I don't know if you've heard of him or not. His name is Jimmy Controversy. He's a really big deal deathmatch wrestler. He's got a massive following on YouTube, and he wrestled Tommy Dreamer not too long ago, and he was involved in the XPW, which is a huge thing in the deathmatch world, and also a guy, Mac 10, who was in the Carnage Cup. So, a lot of different guys that have been in different scenes here in the U.S., maybe some deathmatch, maybe more Carnage side of it, things that might be for Ronnie's company. But, what advice would you give to maybe some of these up-and-comers, maybe these undergrounders or semi-pro wrestlers? Any advice on for them to maybe if they wanted to come and try their skills in CCW?
Yeah, doors always open, and like I say, it doesn't matter if you don't like the Carnage side of things. There's always colliery. If you feel more comfortable in coming out, the pride of CCW, there's the promotion there. So we offer different ranges of CCW. What will suit the guys' needs, or guys or girls' needs that want to come over. And there's plenty of talent in the UK for you guys to wrestle or to go to war with over here.
And they're home in CCW because CCW is where the big boys play. And let's think about this real quick, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Fulton defending that Alba World Championship there. That's going to be an officially recognized title tomorrow night. Number one, Davey Blaze. Davey freaking Blaze, the Scottish Savage, the man that was just across the apron from James Storm, a man that is squared off with a who's who of WWE Hall of Famers and others, the Pro 2 Interpromotional World Champion, defending that title against Persona, who very well could be a World Heavyweight Champion in 2024 in his own right. Prince Dagan, maybe the most impressive CCW champion of all time. Jam Dog, a long-time staple and a fan favorite, our Carnage Hardcore champion, our Light in the Dark champion, Adrian Black, who's been extremely impressive in his own right. You got Devlin, you got the Thatcher brothers. Ronnie, of course, does a great job running things at Carnage Championship Wrestling. And Hybrid, one of our favorites. And by the way, the Tribal Cheese, the Big Cheese Logan, who has made his home officially in CC freaking dub, CC dub, CC dub, CC dub, CC dub, CC dub, CC dub, and nerds and Spawn. It's a who's who of people. Walker Wall Street, if he's normal, if he's okay. Rico Justice has been on here. Taylor, Colin, you name them. They're all here. CCW is the big boys, and that's where you're going to go. If you want to join any other company, you get in touch with James Barrass. Those links below. Now, I know you've only got a short amount of time. I kind of teased something, Mr. Barrass, that I was wondering if you have interest. And obviously, there was somebody that commented in here earlier, Justin Parsley. He's the third member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. And a guy, Omen Black, also commented, who's going to be the seventh member of the Hall of Fame. Saturday evening here, New York time, Sunday morning, UK time. But I was wondering, Mr. Barrass. So I know, obviously, a lot of sore spots we talked about Taylor and obviously Alfie Nerds and Spawn and, the whole situation about what's to come in CCW in 2024. But I was wondering here, as the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station, and your voice of all wrestling, we've started this thing here called the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Basically, recognizing my nearly 5 years, which is my 5-year anniversary, takes place on January 25th, for those that are listening and watching. And we've kind of compiled this Hall of Fame where we think about all the different people that have come on from Sportswire Radio. When we were on the Sports Report, whether it was Sportnarium, and where we've morphed to where we're now with these banners, these lights, the new logo, and all these different things, that we've compiled some of the greatest people, whether it's in sports, whether it's in wrestling, certainly, whether it's in all different things that you may think about in our Hall of Fame. And I was thinking, Mr. Barrass, you've obviously been maybe the most successful UK promoter out there. CCW's got 3 companies, sellout show after sellout show. Davey Blaze is a part of the company, and Tom Fulton, and we've got the biggest stars in the world that play in CCW. And I was wondering here, Mr. Barrass, would you have any interest in potentially, by the way, being inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame?
What's that again?
So let me repeat that for you, especially for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio and those that might be fans of Cutlery Championship Wrestling. Mr. James Barrass, the CEO and founder of Cutlery Championship Wrestling, or as I call it, Cutlery Community Wrestling. Would you like to be inducted in 2024 as a member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame?
You're damn right I do. It's about time someone from top tier is in the Hall of Fame. But thank you very much. I accept. Thank you very much.
Well, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it here first. In January 2024, James Barrass, the CEO and founder of Cutlery Championship Wrestling, to be inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. You know what? And I'm thinking about this here, Mr. Barrass, as I pointed out, January 25th, 2024, my 5-year anniversary of doing this from when I started on those humble days of Skype calls and muffled cell phone recordings and, NCH software apps, and to where we are now. We've got this real professional setup. Maybe that's the day. On that day, you might want to check your calendar that day, January 25th, 2024, where maybe you take your place to celebrate my 5 years of doing this here to where we are today, that you get inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. I couldn't think of a better way to celebrate my 5 years of doing this in my career than to have an owner, the boss himself of the most successful company around here in the UK, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. What's your calendar like that day, sir?
Well, I'll double check.
All right, well, you figure it out. You figure it out here, sir. You figure it out. You figure it out.
I'm free.
Now, well, ladies and gentlemen, there you heard it. You heard it here. Before we go, January 25th, 2024. Figure around the same time, same bat channel, 8 p.m. British Standard Time. James Barrass, the CEO and founder of the most successful company around here on Sportswire Radio that we've covered in Cutlery Championship Wrestling, or as I say, Cutlery Community Wrestling, to be inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. This will be one you will not want to miss. Congratulations, Mr. Barrass. I have a few more comments before we sign off here. And that's also, he's getting excited. You're damn straight we're getting excited here because CC Dub, CC Dub, CC Dub, CC Dub, CC Dub. Also, in the name of God, don't make his head any bigger than it is. He's laughing his butt off here.
Um,
I may not like Barrass, but congrats for being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Yes, absolutely. This is a deserved one. And I was thinking about this here, Mr. Barrass. I was actually thinking about this since yesterday. So I was thinking about. I knew I had something big up my sleeve. Nobody likes Barrass. Ha ha ha. Daniel Banner says James Barrass in the Hall of Fame. Well, you know what? We're going to leave that, Daniel Banner. Thank you. Happy New Year to you, Daniel Banner. And only a handful of flying monkeys. Well, Dean Allmark's in this Hall of Fame. So you know what? You're in pretty good company. If Dean Allmark's in my Hall of Fame, we got RPD. Listen, Josh Fletcher, the man considered to be the gold standard in this sport of semi-pro or underground wrestling, of XCW. Justin Parsley, Omen Black, Soldier GP. I mean, Joshua Allen, the founder of TBW, to over 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. They're in the Hall of Fame. So Ernest Dove, who covers a Major League Baseball team in America, you're in pretty good company. So I think that you're in a real good company, and you definitely earned this one. Endorsements are not earned. They are given, as I always say. Congratulations, CEO Barrass. It's definitely not cheesy for sure on this. Definitely, we acknowledge James Barrass to be inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame January 25th, 2004. Congratulations, James. And also, I guess I should say congratulations. Yeah, Rico, on this one, you might want to break the fourth wall and say congratulations to our beloved CEO and founder, our dear leader, James Barrass. Mr. Barrass, I know I could obviously speak on many more things with you, but I know you're a busy man. I think it's obviously the right way to end this here. And for those that are listening and watching, I want to give you the floor. Any closing thoughts, anything else you want to plug, share, or say? And it's always an honor to have you. And I now want to turn it over to you. The floor is yours, Mr. Barrass. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? Fire away.
Yeah, I just want to end your last show of 2023 with this. I want to thank you, Tom, for the support, the love that you've given towards me, CCW, the guys in CCW, for supporting, always having our back, having us on the show.
I grew up in Brooklyn. It was always remembered, if you had somebody's back, that was the most important thing that you could have ever did. Was your word was what you were known by, what you were judged by. That's how I've lived my entire life. When I was on those streets in Brooklyn, when we were growing up, it was a matter of when somebody said, I got your back, that meant something. And that's why I have here for 5 years for those reasons, Mr. Barrass.
Yeah, and thanks to all the supporters. Whether you like me, whether you hate me, whether you call me bobbleheads, whatever that is.
Bobblehead Barrass,
So, but yeah, thanks for everyone that supported CCW, supported, my crazy mind and ideas and all of that. But no, honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I would imagine everyone else that's involved in CCW is also saying thank you to everybody that looks from the outside inwards on the product and supports it, watches it, takes time to comment on it, takes time
to review it. Product, all the shows we have, Taylor's show, Colin's shows, Ronnie's shows. I mean, all the stuff, the videos, the promo packages. CCW is just so revolutionary in everything you guys do. And that's why I want so many people, if you're out there, to go continue to support CCW. Please do that here on Instagram at Cutlery Championship _wrestling. Also on the YouTube page. Also, big shout out to Daniel Baldwin. Daniel Baldwin and Phil Marshall are doing a phenomenal job. Support them. CCW UK Northeast. Facebook, Cutlery Championship Wrestling. Also, Carnage Championship Wrestling. Coming Out Championship Wrestling. And as I refer to it, to me, it's Cutlery Community Wrestling, because CCW has always been about the community, and there's going to be no bigger example of that tomorrow night. Mercy's Mighty Fight, 7 p.m. British Standard Time. Doors will be open. Probably get there an hour earlier. It's going to be a phenomenal card. You got Tom Fulton, you got Davey Blaze, you got Hybrid, you got Devlin, the Thatcher Brothers, Jam Dog, Adrian Black. You've got Johnny Flashback and Dagan for the world title. You got Persona. I mean, you got so many things. I'm sure there'll be many, many surprises. Walker's announcement and James Barrass, Bobblehead Barrass, whatever you want to call him, but you're going to call him on January 25th, 2024, a member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. My friend, Happy New Year. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for your support over the years. God bless you. God bless you and your beautiful family. Have a happy New Year. I can't wait to recap the show here in 2024. And thank you for all you do. And again, Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy New Year. Thank
All
you.
right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the owner and founder of Cutlery Championship Wrestling, James Barrass, to be inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame on January the 25th, 2024. We're here to talk about the Mercy's Mighty Fight Show. It's tomorrow night, 7 p.m. British Standard Time. Doors are open. It's a phenomenal show. You're going to see Davey Blaze in persona for the Pro 2 Interpromotional World Title, Tom Fulton, Chris Falcon for the Alba World Title to be officially recognized as a world title. We're also going to have in the main event for the CCW World Underground Heavyweight Championship in a 30-minute Iron Man match, Prince Dagan versus Johnny Flashback. We're going to see Jam Dog and Adrian Black and a Light in the Dark champion who's not defending the title, but it's also the Carnage Hardcore title, also not defending the title, but it's a champion versus champion match. You're going to see the Thatcher Brothers versus Devlin, the former CCW World Underground Champion hybrid. You're also going to see in a dream match, Nerds versus Spawn. So a heck of a lot of things here. Stay tuned for more details on that. If you're on sportswireradio.org, you're going back to your regularly scheduled programming. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio.